What's up? Hey, y'all. Welcome to Florida Watchmen, your eyes on the wall. I'm David, aka Longbeard, with my host here, Mauricio, the Peruvian Peanuts. We're defying tyrants, destroying idols, and declaring liberty found in the kingdom of God.
We're going to give you a nice little highlight of what you will be expected to hear in today's episode. First off, the primaries in Florida that happened back in August 23rd. The results, was it fair or unfair? We have David to speak on that. And then after that, I'm going to be giving you a few steps to take. Like if you're one of those voters who does not feel confident at all as to like who to vote for, where to go, or how to do it, I'm going to be the one giving you step-by-step process on how to get that taken care of. Now, you will have to take time to do that. This isn't like we're not going to be doing the homework for you. It's something that if you really care about your nation, if you care about your family, if you care about your children's future, I think that should be enough motivation for you to be able to grab these steps and proceed to do your own research, taking your own time and everything. So, brother, so I heard from you that only 30% of Republicans voted, man. What's going on with that?
Yeah, it's like 30%, maybe a little less. I looked at 2020, it was like 28% in 2020 of Republicans who voted in the state of Florida in the primaries. Most people focus on the silver bell of the general election, but they just kind of ignore or pass over the primaries, which the primaries are extremely important because if you want to have solid candidates in the general to represent us both in the House and the Senate in our state, as well as maybe school board candidates, county commission candidates, things that we here at Florida Watchmen want to focus on that local government. That's our main focal point. But like I said, it's hard to get solid candidates in the House and the Senate when you have very few even taking part. And then the ones pretty much that do take part really don't know their candidates they're voting for. They don't know a lot of times, who their candidates are, even what district they're in.
Right.
And then a lot of times they just go off of, flyers. Everybody's seen all these little flyers in the mail. Vote for me. I'm 2A. I'm pro-life.
Right.
I cut taxes. Of course, everybody says that in the Republican Party.
Right.
So what do you do? Like, how do you know? Because everybody says this stuff when you get in the mail or you see ads on TV or you see signs in people's yards or along the highway. And so you gotta really do diligence, as my brother here was saying, to research so you can give an educated vote to determine who's going to represent you for your rights, your constitutional rights, and more important, really, the law of God.
Right. Right. That's talking to you Christians. Because that comment isn't just going to anybody. It's definitely going to the believer who for once wants to make a difference, is angry at the government, is angry at the politics, angry at the law, how the law has been handed out to us and how we are now suffering. And because of this laziness, this lazy mentality of basically just I'll take what you have, kind of sort of like that used to be me, by the way, guys. I want to raise my hand and say I'm that guy that would call the person that was more acquainted with politics, and I would ask her, hey, who you're voting for, and then let me go and vote for that person. I just kind of copy and paste basically is what I did. And it wasn't until I started getting more involved in ending abortion through abolition, going to my city council. David and I and Maria and everybody else in the abolition all across Florida, we started meeting with legislators.
I'm state committee man for my county, and we were talking that before we started the show. We were talking. I just got back Daytona with a quarterly, which every 3 months the state RPOF, Republican Party of Florida, gets together. All the elected officers, the chair and vice chair of the party, get together. We all have committees and give direction of the Republican Party. And we have speakers. The new House Representative, Speaker of the House, Paul Reiner spoke, and Mike Waltz was a congressman, and some other House reps. Wester Barnaby was there. But anyhow, it can get really in depth. It can take some time, but you really want, if you really care about the posterity, your children, and your children's children, mm-hmm. and it is our responsibility, to have righteous men rule over us. Last mm-hmm. proverb says, or the people will mourn when the wicked are ruling. And right. So, you constantly, we all said, me and Mauricio have said, we've all said, man, we're tired of the same people. Like, how do the people like Mitch McConnell and different individuals in your federal government, constantly stab the people in the back, and like they say they're gonna, a lot of people even leave the Republican Party because they're just so fed up Republicans saying, yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna represent you, give me money, elect me, and I'll, end abortion, or I'll, pass constitutional carry in the Second Amendment. But then they get there and they're like, what happened to these people? They kind of got swallowed up in the mess of everything, or they got enough money from Walt Disney World, and now they're just going to represent the anti-gun lobbyists. Were really, with the gun grabbers and the red flaggers. But so a lot of people just don't know. They just kind of throw their hands up and they give up, and they just kind of like, whatever, I'm just going to vote and just kind of stick my head in the sand and hope for the best and wait till Jesus comes back. Or they'll go off like a whole list of like Family Research Council. And we both saw the Family Research Council, their list of candidates. And some of these candidates are like LGBTQ supportive, right, or even like incremental. It's okay to kill babies to a certain extent. It's a huge movement in the Republican Party to induct sodomy, homosex, mirage into the party, and to really just open it with open arms to expand that voter base. But we got to really take seriously the primaries, because, like I said, if you want to have a solid candidate, that is your time to actually seek out candidates. If you don't have one, find one, encourage them to run, or you yourself figure it out, sign up to run, and throw your hat in the race, raise some money, whatever it is. Trust God, Lord, if you want me in this position, then help me out with this. Find some people who know how to campaign and know the whole gamut of running, and start researching. But most people will just wait till the general, and then they're like, wow, these are the same individuals that keep getting elected. Like, how do these people keep getting elected? How does people like Mitch McConnell, or how does people on the other side, Nancy Pelosi or whatever, how do these people keep getting reelected for like 50 years? And it's because the massive engine of both sides, whether it's Republican Party, who endorse their incumbents and keep that power under their belt. And we always hear the word rhino, Republicans in name only, or the establishment. This is how it happens because the people are ignorant. They suffer for lack of knowledge, and they don't get involved, and they don't get out in masses to vote in a proper candidate, research those candidates, figure out what these people stand for, how they've been invited, what bills have they written, how have they voted. So these are all things that we're going to, different websites that you can look up and research.
I will say that, like, researching the bills that they had sponsored and co-sponsored.
Yeah.
I have not gotten that link for yet, but I think I know where to find it. So you might want to help me with that. But go on.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go Ballotopia.
Okay.
Would be Florida Ballotopia 2020. 2022, and you can look up any candidate, and then they'll say what bill they have sponsored or co-sponsored.
Yeah.
Okay. Then of course you can look up on your gov sites, Senate.gov or HouseRepresentative.gov for Florida Senate, Florida House, and you can research those. So, but yeah, those site Ballotopia is pretty much everybody you can look up, type in Florida Ballotopia, and then you can look up candidates and what they have voted, what bills they have written, what they have sponsored.
Which,
so,
by the way, before you move on to
yeah,
to what you're going to be saying, first off, if anybody here who's watching and feels like the calling for you men to stand up and actually run for office, if you're interested in learning more about how that process works here in Florida, and you want us to do an episode dedicated to that, we can do that. Because just this last couple of years, or maybe just last year, like David and I, like we've seen, and I know David for the most part has helped other men in trying to run within the political realm, as candidates for Florida. So we would love to help you even come up with, do an episode dedicated to that solely.
Yeah. I mean, here's the deal really, is that coming from being on the inside, is that they have certain rules, like for me as elected officer, that I can't endorse in the primaries. I can personally endorse, but using my position as state committee man, I can't endorse a candidate that the RPOF, the Republican Party of Florida, does not endorse.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
So they have certain rules, like Rule Section 8. So I can't do that. But here's the catch, kind of the catch-22 is that they can endorse incumbent Republican candidates because they're Republicans. So say you have, whether it was Matt Gaetz, or you say you have, let's name everybody, Marco Rubio or Rick Scott, okay? So we might want this particular candidate. So we don't want Marco Rubio. He's a gun grabber. He believes in amnesty. He supported mass and all that stuff. So we don't want him. We want to replace him with a constitutionalist, a patriot, a grassroots, ordinary person. So we can't, me personally, I can't endorse him or say, yeah, this is who we need to vote for. But they can, because he's already a Republican. He's an incumbent, so they can put money. They can put social media time. They can say, we need this guy. We can't risk losing in this race. They always say every race is a serious race, and it's the end of the world if we don't win this and a Democrat wins it. They always use all that fear mongering. We can't afford to lose this race. So let's, Marco Rubio is not the perfect candidate, but he's better than Val Demings. Okay. So let's don't risk, some no-name candidate or somebody.
The lesser of two evils. It's always about the lesser of two evils. Yeah.
So that's how they keep these people in power, is they keep putting their money behind these incumbents and then squashing out all the opposition who might say, no, we don't want that person because they've not upheld their oath. They've not upheld the Constitution. And we want this person. But so that's how they kind of, like I said, that's how they keep the nobodies out, or the smaller candidates out, and keep the power under their control, because it is about power. Even in Florida, you think, oh, well, Florida's free, DeSantis is wonderful. No, there is a pecking order. There is a, so to speak, good old boy or mafia within the Republican establishment in Florida. It is. It's there. And if you don't play their rules or abide by their rules, play ball for them, they're going to dox you. They're going to run candidates against you next time. They're going to get rid of you. And if you especially don't play rules, their rules, or by the rules before you get elected, they're going to do everything possible to get you out of the race for their incumbent to win. It doesn't matter if they lie. It doesn't matter if they run ads. It doesn't matter. They're gonna pour tons of money into it.
Or I'm not sure if this is the right word to use, but or bribe you like they did with Drake Works. They offer him to go find somewhere else.
Yeah.
Fun. Because we like our incumbent. Which, by the way, David, what is the meaning of incumbent? For those who do not know.
I mean, I don't know the official name. I just know it's this. An incumbent is the person who is already elected, who is a sitting House of Representatives or a sitting senator. They're already elected. They have already held office since the past election cycle. Okay, so the person who is primarying them is the new person coming in against the incumbent who is already established there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. For the longest, I thought that word was an offense. Like I literally thought it was like a dirty word for like a word for dirty politician.
Maybe
so like,
I guess
you incumbent. You know what I mean? Like, even the word itself sounds so brutal, sounds harsh. So I literally thought, I was like, oh man, yeah, who's the incumbent you're running against? You know
yeah. Well, it's interesting, and I don't want to keep going to the federal government because I want to throw on state, but Marco Rubio is our one of our U.S. senators, and I was saying, well, he supported red flag. He authored red flag laws to take away your guns. He was all for amnesty, like over 30,000 illegals, and gave basically Obama here's the permission to legalize all these illegals. So this guy has a track record of that. So my thing is, we need to replace him with somebody who keeps their oath and adheres to the Constitution. Well, I talk to these people or in the political realm. They're like, well, there's no time now to do that, and we don't have time to find a candidate. I'm like, well, no, he was doing this back in 2018. You knew he was proffering red flag laws. You knew he was proffering things to take people's guns away, which is what the left does also. But now you're saying we don't have time. No, it's that it's not that they didn't have time, it's that they want to maintain that power. And there's a lot of money that goes into the pockets of people. There's a lot of money that's being paid out. There's a lot of donations that are garnered through these candidates who play ball, who scratch each other's back. There's a lot of politics. They'll tell you. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, is like, hey, basically, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. And you get to know particular people in higher positions, so you can then use that for your advantage to move up or for favors or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, no, we should just do what's just and right and righteous because it's the right thing.
Yeah.
But that's what we've got to wake up as people in the state, and as Christians especially, is our responsibility. If we're always like, man, why don't they end abortion? Why don't they end it? Why don't they actually end this and stop talking about it? It's because we are not focused. We're not actually taking the time. People spend more time watching football and researching their whatever team they have, or they're keeping up, or they're going to this or that, or traveling here and there. But for somebody who's actually running the country and making laws and writing laws, it's like, oh, whatever. I voted and that's it. I'm done. It's more than that. And that's why the Republicans, or Christians in the Republican Party, they have to wake up and start getting involved in the primaries so that we can actually start to take back this country for Christ, for his holiness, for his righteousness.
Right. That's so critical. No, yeah. I just had a friend who just like, she this individual messaged the group, because it's part of like, we're connected to a group text here in Jacksonville, Florida. And she commented saying that she's about to soon talk with her pastors, round 2, about abolition. Round 1 didn't go great. They both were basically saying that there is a separation between church and politics. And so, and that's really been the mentality of the church these days. Mm-hmm. When you try to talk about, like, lack of indifference and lack of just going in and making a difference in the political realm. It's just like the church has been vanquished, like on their own. Like, they literally just like decided to just move out and bail out. I think the example that just a faithful brother that I care so much about, like, happened to be in a district where Jerry James was running, and he was one of our friends who was willing to abolish abortion once he got into office. And I think, David, you were saying that he was so close to win that primary, wasn't he?
Yeah. It was a tight race with him and Travis Hudson.
Right. Travis Hudson is the incumbent that was, was running against Jerry, and Jerry lost, and one of my buddies who's in his district, for whatever reason, didn't get to vote that Tuesday. And it's not just him, but I can guarantee you there's other people too that have been, that either have voted for just without discernment, without a deep knowledge and understanding of who they're voting for, simply because what, David, remember that with that gentleman that told you they voted for Travis Hudson because he was just a nice guy, right?
Yeah. I had a friend tell me, he was handing out information about Jerry James, people coming in and out. I think it was coming out of the post office or something. And and the guy said, "Well, I already voted." He's like, "Well, who'd you vote?" He said, "I voted for Travis Hudson." He's like, "Why?" And it was early voting. Early voting was August 13th. And he goes, "Well, I met him one time. He was really nice. It was, sharp, nice guy." And he's like, "Well, here's the reason. Here's the things that he's been passing and the bills he's been writing. Here's the corruption that he's been proffering, and just in his own district." He's like, "Oh, I didn't know that." He goes, "Well, pretty much damage already done." And so, you're a lot of people do that. This person's nice looking, or they're dressed nice, or I've heard people say that I like their shoes, or just some crazy stuff. And so that's how we are, our ignorance and are being duped. And really the establishment knows this. That's why they send out these flyers in the mail. And even those who vote in the primary, say if you vote in the primary every year, you're actually known as a super voter. Okay. So you vote primary and general. So they collect all this information, all this voter information. They have that on file. It's like a well-oiled machine. They know who votes, where you vote, where you live. So they know to knock on your door, to send you these flyers. So they even bank on that, because a lot of people who are super voters, they go off of just what they get in the mail or what they see on TV or just like social media, all the hoorah about this particular individual. They don't know behind the scenes what's going on, because they don't research how's this person actually vote, what bills have they written, what have they co-sponsored. If they've done something evil in the past, most people forget it. They forget because it was years ago. So they bank on that, and they keep sending you all these flyers or these cards in the mail with it's cool, it's fancy, it's well done, two-way, it's very patriotic. I'm the constitutional candidate. Not only that, now the big thing is we don't really go by a person's virtue, okay, and principle. It's like the popularity contest. So this particular candidate, somewhere along the line, took a picture with DeSantis or took a picture with Trump, and so they'll either forge themselves into it, or they say, "Look, I'm supporting DeSantis's agenda," or I'm a Trumper," or whatever it is. And I have pictures with DeSantis. Doesn't mean I'm like buddies with DeSantis and we're pals and we go out to eat together, But that's how they use this against people or for their campaign to keep getting promoted, to keep it getting elected, which they're really, a lot of these candidates aren't what they say they are. So you've got to research. When you're talking about Ballotopia, another good one, Mauricio is going to put the link up, it's called followthemoney.org. Is a really, really important one.
So are we there now?
We can be there. Followthemoney.org.
All right, so let's kind of begin. All right.
Okay.
By first telling them where to go find their district, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the first thing we want to. Okay, so no, I mean you can do it.
No. I'm jumping the gun, man. I'm jumping the gun, dude.
You're so much better at speaking than I am.
David. No, I'm not.
Now we're switching over to section 2, which is pretty much the final section of today's episode, in which, if you are interested in learning how to start doing your research about about candidates that are running in your district, the first thing you need to learn is what district you're in. And so the website we're going to be taking you to is called myfloridahouse.gov. And it's going to take you to this page. And in this page, it's going to ask you for the address. I'm not a robot. Of course, you want to make sure that they know that you're not a robot, and then find your elected officials. Click on that button. You'll see, you're going to wait a few seconds. Oh, and there you have it. You have State House District 14. Not only do they give you the number, but they're giving you your current representatives. And in my case, my current representatives are a bunch of fakers. So so we got yeah.
You got John Rutherford. Oh yeah, you need to get rid of that Joker.
Yeah, that Joker is tough, man. That guy he's loved here in Jacksonville. This guy was raised in Jacksonville. So he is buddies with everybody. He literally has, but he's not afraid to murder his grandchildren. Through abortion.
Yeah.
Like, he will flat out tell you.
Gun grabber. He's also over the heritage deal, which is a land grab, but that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So many things we can talk about each person here in this list. So you're gonna see your State House District 14. That would be my district. State Senate. That would be District 6 for me. For you, is going to be a very different number, or it could be the same. We could be neighbors.
Yeah.
But you even have your district or your congressional district here, U.S. Senate, and I guess you don't. I guess he's your anyway. We'll discuss that later. But anyway, so now that you know your district number, write it down or memorize it. 14-6 for me. 14-6. Then you're going to want to find out, hey, who is running in my district? What are their names? How many people are doing this? Is there a Republican running? Is there a Democrat? Sometimes it doesn't matter what party they're in. They're still losers anyway. But the way you're going to find out about that is if you go to this page. It's called Candidate Tracking System. It's candidates and races, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
You go under general election. For us, this past election was the 22 election. You're going to click on view list, and now you're seeing, David, you can help me here, pretty much everybody that's running in every district. I think even though you're gonna see how now it's like actually says defeated because they were defeated at the primary. So Greg Merck, who was one of our guys, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. He was defeated. We have why is because not many people apparently got up to vote. So and not many people are doing their due diligence in researching who they need to be voting for and just trusting Joe Schmo across from you to give you all that information.
They don't actually read nobody actually reads and focuses on politics. Most people hate politics, but they don't focus anymore. But it's extremely important because it affects your life, my life, our kids' lives, our kids' lives. Trillions of now even the federal, the 40 trillion plus that the nation is out in debt that will never survive from, most likely.
Crazy. Yeah. One little comment I just wanted to say here that I heard in either a sermon or somebody's podcast, but 200, 300 years ago when universities were just beginning here in America, their biggest sport wasn't like college football or wasn't like baseball or wrestling or whatever track. It was actually debating each other on theology.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, we've fallen short so heavily nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of these universities were created for that, for us to be pastors or preachers, and then statesmen.
Yeah, and so anyway, so I think that a lot of the reasons why people are so lazy really in providing their own research is because we indoctrinated them to be that way. Like I was like that for such a long period of time because of school,
Yeah.
and my lights just went out. So I got to go ahead and fix that, or I may just deal with it in the dark. But anyway, so moving forward, um,
And the
that's
fact that we're comfortable in luxury and ease, and until something actually affects us personally, then we might start getting more. I've come across so many people in different groups and medical freedom groups that they'll say, I just woke up, and they're like, did you hear about this? Well, actually, yeah, I've been involved with this for a while, but they've just woken up because the medical tyranny has now affected their financially or affected their
right.
children in school, and now they're just waking up and they realize. And that's how the whole thing in the schools, with all the pornography and all the indoctrination, has been like exploded, is because children were, parents were affected by COVID, kids being sent home, and now they can't work, and now they got to take care of their kids. And then they started going to school board meetings, and they realized they started actually looking at their kids' textbooks, because now they're teaching them at home. So they're realizing what they're being taught, and so all this is being brought to light because it's affecting people personally, and their ease and their comforts being taken away. So now they actually have to get involved.
Remember, keep in mind, U.S. Senate, U.S. state representative is not your state representative. You gotta differentiate between those.
Yeah.
So like mine was representative was 14. I'm not gonna go for District 14 in the U.S. state representative if it goes that long, because that's not who I'm looking for. So we
Yeah.
gotta go
Yeah.
into past the government, past the attorney general, past the chief state attorney, all these people. I can go under the state senator, look at my district. We got it for my Senate state district 6. I have Jennifer Bradley,
Yeah.
who was unopposed in the primaries. She's a
Wow.
Republican, but there was no Democrat going against her, and nobody wanted or cared in the Republican to go
Well,
against her.
there's no Republican going against her.
Right. And so
So now,
technically,
yeah.
that could have been me. I could have gone against her. I didn't, because of personal reasons why I'm choosing not to like express here in this
Yeah.
in this episode. But you see, she's the only person. So I mean, in theory, like, you kind of really don't have a choice. You just either you vote for her or you just leave it blank. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
anyhow, because she's gonna win no matter what. I mean, she's already won. There's no there's no opposition, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So now,
Now she's going to go run against the Democrat in the general.
yeah. So like, so we went from state senator again. That's my district. Yours might be different. You might have like 10 or 2 or 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
We go to the state representative. State is who, which David, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but both state senate and state representatives are the people who are responsible for the laws that get passed here in Florida.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
why
both.
it's critical, right?
Yeah. Both. Yeah. State House, and state Senate is responsible for what's being written, bills in the state of Florida. Of course, your U.S. senator, and then Congress affects us too, because they represent you at the federal level. But we focus mainly on local, state, because if you study our Constitution, most of the power is supposed to reside with the state. Amendment 10, and very, 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 very limited power were specifically given or enumerated to the federal government for federal reasons, for very, very small reasons. But of course, that's been bloated and huge, and out of uh, basically been taken and exploded for their own power and their own means to control the people, where state sovereignty has been trampled upon.
So in this case, Kimberly Daniels won for District 14. Uh, she defeated 3 other Democrats in her district. So there was no Republican running for District 14. Again, where are the men? I mean, I'm not just the only guy in our district. There's thousands upon thousands of men, living just in my own district. They can't run against this woman. I'm gonna click on Kimberly Daniels information. I'm clicking on campaign finance activity, and then I'm clicking on this button here, or this button here. See how there was a lot of money given to her between July 1st, or between June 18 of 2022 and July 1st of 2022, and then submit query. And then it's like a whole list of people.
We have a candidate here that, was sought after for, supposedly stood up for everybody against the vaccine mandates. But then you look at his finances and who donated. And one of the top donors was Pharma, which is pharmaceuticals research, which is the people who are on the board for that. There are people who are for Pfizer and Biogen and people who created the vaccine and monoclonal antibodies. And so these people will go in and donate money to these candidates or lobbyists, or they're lobbyists, they're pharmaceutical lobbyists, and they buy these candidates off to basically tote the road for them, or whoever it is. It could be Disney, it could be AT&T, it could be Verizon, it could be any kind of massive like LGBTQ, pro company. AT&T is one of those. Disney is, of course. Disney is extremely against two-way open carry, constitutional carry. They're one of the number one lobbyists against that. So that's probably why you don't have constitutional carry like in Alabama or Georgia, Indiana, Vermont, New Hampshire, and all the other 30-something states who have, or maybe it's more than that now. I can't remember how many, maybe 30-something states. But because they give a lot of money to candidates, and they basically say, hey, we gave you this money, we're supporting you, we can help get you elected. Now, you basically support what we believe, which is we don't want people supposedly walking around with guns on their hips, because that's scary to have people come to Disney World and the tourists see people, like Wild Wild West, they think. But of course, I live right near Alabama line, and I go to, and Alabama's an open carry state, and I've seen one person of all the time there carry a pistol on their hip. So, people blow all these, the left and even the right blow these things out of proportion. Oh, it's so scary, So because it's scary and something might happen, we're going to infringe on your rights.
Yeah. So let's continue to move on, brother.
Yeah.
Now we got 5 minutes remaining. So
yeah.
So I'm encouraged really by all this information, and I'm hoping that it's fairly beneficial to the viewers. Kimberly Daniels, for example, and you pull up her financial record of who gave, and one of her donors was WWJ Mechanical, and here in Jacksonville, Florida, WWJ is considered to be a very godly, or it's a company run by very godly family members, the gay family, and and for me to see that $1,000 was given to a Democrat to run into for office, to me it's like a red flag, it makes me wonder, like, really, what are these people thinking? Like, what, and a little background about me and Miss Daniels is that I actually filmed a commercial for her.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 years ago, before I was ever interested in politics. So I was younger.
Blood money.
I mean, I didn't see any problem with me like filming for a Democrat, like, but she told me, and maybe I could be wrong, maybe I misunderstood her, maybe she can correct me, maybe she's not like that anymore, but like she says, hey, I'm really a Republican, but I'm going in as a Democrat so that I can win my district. And at the time I was younger, I was like, okay, yeah, okay, wow, that's a good tactic. But then I'm like, wait, now that I'm older, God has hopefully given me a little bit more wisdom. Yeah, I have to understand that first of all, that's lying. It's like, I mean, you want to go in with the best integrity possible anyway.
Yeah.
Be honest with your people. And eventually you will blend in if you continue to be surrounded by individuals that are not going to hold you accountable. So I mean, it may not be her game. She might be fully Democrat. I know that I've tried reaching out to her concerning abolition when she was in my district back in 2019 as a representative. She lost in 2020, and now she wanted again in 2022. But in 2019, I tried to contact her like twice, maybe. Neither one time she responded or cared to like email me or anything. So, does she care to end abortion? Well, I don't know.
Well, her platform.
Her platform and her actions are speaking louder than her words at this point. So, anyway, so just again, but that's just me having all 20 years living in this city for so long. But like you obviously gonna have to do a little further digging. But then once you're here, feel free to go to David's website, followthemoney.org. Again, we're gonna put all this information. The way you go in here, the way that you research here is you click on on these three lines that are on the top left-hand corner, and you're gonna go down to our data, if I'm not mistaken.
Tools.
I think that. Tools.
I think it's
and my legislature.
My legislator. Yep.
Yeah, legislature. Then you're gonna go and I'm not trying to correct you, but like seriously, I'm trying to correct you.
And you should have to choose your state.
Right, you're gonna change your state to Florida for 2022, and it's going to upload all the names again, like how the other page did it, except this is bigger. It seems to be more user friendly. So here, when you click on their names, you actually automatically land on this tab button that says "As an Office Holder." But you don't want to go. You want to hit on the "As a Candidate" tab, and then you're gonna click on Top Donors. And once you click on Top Donors, you obviously see her name on the top because she donated
herself.
But you'll see all these other people. And again, I don't know anybody here, maybe Florida Home Builders Association. The last step that I literally have told all my friends and my family members, is I created this for them to follow, is to make the attempt to call them and to talk to them either over the phone or through email. This is not them, but you'll see, where am I at? You'll see that when you click on their names in that dos.elections.myflorida.com, all that list of people, their phone number is there.
Yeah.
So you totally have freedom to give them a call. And they're pretty desperate when they're running to literally talk to everybody and everyone, unless they know who you are and they really don't care to talk to you. They'll avoid you as much as they can. Like Smith.
especially if they're new candidates. Like if they're newer candidates and they're not like big time incumbents, like been around for a while, got big names, they'll listen to you. But I mean, when you talk to them,
they'll even get into your podcast.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk to them, and my wife gave me the suggestion because I used to go in there and just ram my mouth. But when you go and say you're wanting to find out information like about abortion, don't go in there and say, well, hey, I'm Mauricio Belgrano and I am an abolitionist and I want to outlaw and criminalize all. And then, of course, what is the candidate who wants you to support them? What are they going to do? They're going to say, oh, no, I hate that. That's stupid. No, they're not going to say it. They're going to say, yeah, I believe the same thing. And they'll go on this long spiel of how they want to end abortion, and they'll adopt and become a chameleon to match your ideology so that they can win you over. So when you go and talk to these people, just ask them general questions like, what do you believe about this? Or what do you believe about abortion? And then let them talk. Does it make sense?
How about
let them talk.
if you guys have questions to ask and you don't really know what to ask, if you want us to kind of like write down some questions for you, just comment on the section just comment below and let us know what question, like that you want this information from us. So because I mean, when it comes to abolition, David and I, we got it packed down. Like we know who's an abolitionist and who isn't. Like, it's just and right now it's very distinct. But I will say that there's been a lot of pro-life who have adopted the word of abolition. They call themselves abolitionists, but they're not really abolitionists.
They're not really, but and the more you get involved in the political realm, the more you like go to different conferences or rallies, or maybe you get involved with the local Republican executive committee, your rec. Okay, each county has one. The more you'll become familiar with different candidates, who's running, you'll figure out the lingo. Like, this person doesn't know. They don't identify with me. This is the way they talk.
All right, and so David, we have run out of time, brother. I wish we can go into more details regarding this, but this is pretty much it. You got their websites, you got their phone number, their email. Do everything you can to get a hold of them. Of course, you want to do this before even early election. So try to make time for that. Maybe spend a Sunday doing all the research with your spouse, with your children. Make sure, because your children also need to be aware of all this information. Like, they need to grow up knowing this is important and we must do this in order to keep our freedom. So till next time, David, what is our slogan? We are Florida Watchmen, your eyes on the wall, right? Defying tyrants, destroying idols, and declaring liberty found in the kingdom of God. So till next time, brothers and sisters.
Amen. Excellent.
Thank you so much for watching our video. My name is Mauricio, and I am the abolitionist filmmaker on social media. Here's one thing I would like for you to do. Partner up with me. Become a Patreon. In there, you will find 3 different levels of monthly contribution. And you can pick one or the other. And it doesn't really matter. I think what I would like for you to do really is to become a big support. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of resources to be able to put all this content together. The idea of my Patreon page is not just to create content that resembles abolitionism, but it's also about how to make better videos for yourself. So if you want to be a part of this, if you want to learn more about behind the scene footage, if you want to be involved in Q&A panel discussions, then please get involved on a monthly basis and support my cause. Thank you so much.